Hey guys, Mrhappy here, and this video is going to cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn so far during patch 2.0. With 2.1 just a few days away from release at the time of this video, I felt it only appropriate to make sure that anyone who may not have truly delved into the story of A Realm Reborn got a general overview of what's going on. Mind you, I'm no Morgan Freeman, so should you want to become enthralled in the story and experience it firsthand, I definitely recommend either playing through the game again on a new character or movie marathoning it in your in-room. So with this video, we are going to summarize the main story. Keep in mind this video will contain spoilers, obviously, so if you still wish to experience the story yourself, I recommend you turn away from this video right now. I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, here we go. So the story begins a bit differently depending on which city you started in, but for the most part it unfolds the same. You start by seeing the strange vision of an unknown masked man. Your character is surrounded by light and you're doing battle with him. Just before the battle begins, your character awakens. Now, depending on where you are, you'll either awaken on a carriage or you'll just wake up in the middle of the forest for some reason. But regardless, you'll quickly run into some of the main characters, and immediately after those opening cutscenes, you'll be thrust into your city where you join the Adventurers Guild. At this point, your goal is to begin making a name for yourself with the guild, so you travel around the outskirts of the city, doing quests and dealing with strange problems that have only recently begun occurring. Along the way, you meet one of several heroes that you must assist in defeating dangerous creatures with. Now, that's a very vague statement because, again, it depends on which city you actually started in. But this is the end of the differences between the starting cities. So don't worry, no matter where you started, the stories pretty much align at this point. I mean, golems, angry wildlife, and eventually you'll fight a powerful demon and even a masked mage resembling the one from the opening cutscene. This makes you quite the popular adventurer, so you are given a mission to visit Ul'dah, Limsa Lominsa, and Gridania, and alert them that the 14th Legion of the Garlean Empire is knocking on Eorze's doorstep. With this mission completed, the 3 cities request your aid in dealing with imminent threats of nearby dungeons. Now, again, this is going to go from city-state to city-state, but you'll always do it. You always do Sastasha, then Tamtara, then Copperbell Mines. I mean, this as well as saving a woman in front of an entire city draws the attention of the Scions of the 7th Dawn, an elite group of heroes tasked with the ongoing protection of the realm. After meeting with Minfilia, the leader of the Scions, you learn that you possess a mysterious power known as the Echo. This allows you to peek into the pasts of those you come in contact with. However, you are unable to control it, and it usually takes a heavy toll on your body and mind. It always seems to happen when you need it most, showing you events in the past that may better help you solve the problems of your future. Also, when you meet Minfilia, if you are a legacy character, she will tell you that she remembers you, but that, well, nobody else does. After being initiated into the Scions of the 7th Dawn, you are tasked with discovering the reasons behind a series of disappearances in Camp Drybone lately. It is eventually revealed that a local merchant by the name of Ungust, one whom you dealt with prior in the story to save that woman, has been kidnapping people for the Amul-Jah. After preparing for a battle with them, a group known as the Immortal Flames devises a plan to lure out the Amul-Jah using Ungust and deal with them personally. However, there is a traitor amongst you who alerts the Amul-Jah of the forces, and you are eventually overcome and captured. After awakening, you find that the Amul-Jah have been kidnapping people to sacrifice to their god, Ifrit. The Primal holds the ability to burn the souls of his victims, thus making him their master. However, your character is immune to these effects. Ifrit deduces that you are being protected by the goddess, that her gift of the Echo prevents you from becoming his slave. So, Ifrit instead attempts to kill you, though he fails. You find a crystal that represents one of the 6 elements, in this case, fire. You retreat to Camp Drybone, however. Nero Tolskeva and Livia Sas-Hunias had watched the entire battle. Disappointed by the lack of strength shown by Ifrit, though impressed by the adventurer, they retreat to their duties. You return to the Waking Sands, where Minfilia and Thancred alert you to the purpose behind the sacrifices to Ifrit. He is a primal, a godlike being brought into existence by the tribe that worships him. There are more primals, and once they have been brought into this world, they require a large amount of aether to physically remain here, which causes large amounts of crystals to be hoarded by the Beastmen tribes. Additionally, Once here, they also gain strength from having more followers. This is why they sought to have Ifrit possess their souls. However, defeating Ifrit would not alone free them. Unfortunately, the process of a primal forcing their will upon another, a process known as tempering, causes everlasting effects. That individual will forever worship the primal and thus feed its strength. For this reason, tempered beings must be put to death. And as such, everyone who was with you when Ifrit was summoned will face such a fate. However, you press on if you wish to prevent more innocents from having their lives thrown away. All 3 city-states wish to claim you for their ranks. After hearing what each has to say, you are elected to select one and join their ranks by undergoing a mission with them. Complete it and you will soon be greeted by some familiar faces, Biggs and Wedge. You are tasked with their protection along with the rest of the Scions, before being sent off to uncover more information about the Sylphs and their primal, Ramuh. Before seeking an audience with the Sylphs, you are to discover the proper greetings for their culture, as well as bring them a gift and a missive stating you come in peace. However, all of this proves not enough to gain their trust, and you are additionally forced to clear out dangerous wildlife and bring them proof of such endeavors before they will trust you. The Sylphs still request you help them with intruders of the forest, which you find out to be Imperial soldiers. After dispatching them, you are given another task by the head Sylph of Little Solace, Camuxio, to help his friend Claxio from tempered Sylphs attempting to claim his soul. Remember that the tempered Sylphs are indeed strong worshippers of Ramuh. After saving him, you gain the trust of the Sylphs and they tell you that their elder has been missing for some time. After seeking out the aid of the Twin Adders, you undertake some tasks for a local tavern, Buscaroon's Druthers. After completing these tasks, you identify a traitor, Laurentius, who has been feeding the Garleans information that was allowing them to penetrate the defenses of the forest. After dealing with him and locating the Sylph Elder, you are summoned to the Waking Sands once more to hear more information regarding La Habrea, a man who resembles the masked mage you had dealt with previously. You head to Highbridge to discover more information, ultimately to find nothing. Upon returning, you discover that a Sylph Elder has been chased into the Thousand Maws of Toto Rock by the Garleans in an attempt to escape them. Following him inside, you are faced by La Habrea, who summons a monstrous Banemite to take care of you. After defeating it, you find the Elder, Phrixio, unharmed, and return him to Little Solace. You speak to Camuxio and Phrixio, who tell you of Ramuh's character. They say that, despite wishing for his people not to summon the Primal, some decided to go against his advising. Those who partook in the ritual became tempered, and wished to temper as many of the Sylphs as possible. Those who did not wish to be bound to the will of Ramuh fled and made Little Solace their home. Phrixio assures you that the tempered Sylphs will not resummon Ramuh unless their homeland faces deadly force and invasion, and you are sent to observe them to assure this. After you watch them and see that they are simply carrying on with life as normal, with no signs of preparation for a ritual of any sort, you return to ensure everyone that all is okay. Additionally, Phrixio actually gives you the Lightning Crystal, another of the 6 that you need, now giving you a total of 3, for you had obtained one earlier in the story in a very small event. Upon returning to Minfilia, she begins to wonder about your encounter with La Habrea and what the Ascians are currently trying to accomplish. To learn a bit more, you head out to Little Alamigo to obtain some information. While there, you discover La Habrea has connections with some portion of the Alamigan refugees. In an attempt to get closer with the people in the resistance, you travel to Quarrymill and begin to assist their captain, Mrhappy. After gaining some trust by saving one of his men, he provides you with a letter to take to their leader, Gundobald of Little Alamigo. Gundobald begins to help in your investigation of La Habrea, where you discover that one of his men, Wilred, seeks to summon the Alamigan deity, Ralgur. On top of this, the children have been in unexpected cohorts with La Habrea, not to their own knowledge, of course. After you foil Wilred's plans, you discover it was La Habrea who set this course of action in motion. Wondering why he would want to summon such a destructive force, you return to the Waking Sands, where you learn La Habrea has been sighted in the North Shroud. Here you receive a button, who you eventually find belongs to Ursandal and his wife, Lady Adamantine. She was tainted by the Void after the Calamity, and has since been performing sacrifices at the aid of the Ascians. After putting an end to her at Hawk Manor, 2 masked men appear and disappear quickly and quietly. Now, with all the city-states in a panic, Minfilia attempts to tell the city-states to tighten their security. You, on the other hand, head back to the Northern Shroud and seek a way to end the murders, eventually defeating a winged eyeball, though not before it claims another victim. Not soon after solving this mystery, you are approached by the Maelstrom, claiming that Titan has been summoned and that they need your help to put him down. In order to discover how to defeat the Kobold Primal, you seek the knowledge of the company of heroes who had previously defeated him. You do the company many favors, proving your strength and obtaining a rare goblin cheese from Brayflox's Longstop. You convince them that you are worthy to share the secrets of Titan. So they send you to Camp Bronze Lake, where a man named Riol reveals to you that instead of fighting your way through the kobolds, you can travel directly to Titan's lair, the Navel, through an aetheryte crystal near the lake. You travel there with Y'shtola and use it to travel to the deepest depths of the kobold stronghold. The kobolds seek your death for invading the lair of their Primal, summoning him to finish you quickly. After defeating him, though, a masked man and 2 men of the Empire, Nero, who we had previously encountered, and Ritaten begin discussing Titan's power as they had been watching over your battle, claiming it's time to move forward with their plans. Y'shtola overhears them before confronting the adventurer and helping you escape Titan's lair. On your way out, you do pick up another elemental crystal, now matching the one you received from the Sylphs and Ifrit, making it the 4th one you've obtained if you include the one you were initially granted after you finished your city-state missions. You report your success to the Maelstrom before returning to the Waking Sands, greeted by a horrible sight. The blood and bodies of your many allies lay wasted around the Waking Sands. As you check the many rooms for survivors, you find a single sylph, Neuraxia. Using the Echo, you discover that the Imperials had invaded the Waking Sands, killing some and making others hostages, including Minfilia, Yudian-Jay, Papalamo, and Tataru. With his last breath, Neuraxia asks you to take shelter in the church in eastern Thanalan. There, you meet Father Iliud and a familiar man named Marquise, and befriend them as you begin to come up with a counterattack. Marquise claims that he cannot remember his past, though he suspects men from his past may be pursuing him. After fending off an Imperial who had been watching the church, Alphinaud appears and tells the amnesiac Marquise that he is actually Master Cid Garland, and that he has been missing since the Calamity 5 years prior. While he does not yet remember any of this, he trusts the boy and decides to help him. Alphinaud alerts Cid that the Ixal have summoned Garuda and that they will need his old airship, the Enterprise, to reach her. To do this, you make your way towards Coerthas. Now, we are going to skim over Coerthas big time because there's 6 levels of missions that don't really have any main influence to the main story. It's mostly just story around Coerthas itself, which we will cover in a future video. So, once in Coerthas, you undertake a series of tasks to train soldiers and expel the many attacks of the dragons to gain the trust of the Ishgardians. After dispensing of a false inquisitor, one whom so desperate took the form of a dragon himself to battle you, you enter the Stone Vigil in hopes of reacquiring the Enterprise, which is perched at the Vigil top, taken there after the Calamity before the Vigil was overrun with dragons. You climb the Stone Vigil to be welcomed by 2 sights, the Enterprise in one piece, and a large dragon sleeping right next to it. Alphinaud and Cid sneak onto the ship and begin repairing it, though La Habrea uses this exact moment to trap you in battle with the dragon. After defeating the icy beast, you come across another crystal, this one representing the element of ice, now placing you at 5. And while the Enterprise is badly damaged, Cid is able to make it fly to Gridania to properly repair his old airship. In order to make the Enterprise strong enough to withstand Garuda's winds, Cid needs some corrupted crystal to power it up. He sends you to a man who may know where you can get said crystals, who then directs you to his many pupils. Each one sends you on a quest, some for better and some for worse, until you finally have the crystals you need. Upon returning, Cid is able to power up the Enterprise and guide you to Garuda's lair. On the way, he begins to remember who he is, the roar of the engine stirring his memories, though he cannot recall all of his memories until you use the power of the Echo to reach into his past and show him everything. He now remembers his entire life, his purpose, and even you. If you are a legacy character, he will remember you from before the Calamity. If you are not, I'm assuming that he doesn't remember you. But regardless, not wanting to share who you actually are with the world just yet, he guides his ship forward into the depths of Garuda's lair. You confront Garuda with both Cid and Alphinaud at your side, where you discover that the Ixal are holding other Beastman races hostage, specifically the Kobolds and the Mrhappy. It is not long before the Ixal seek to kill the three of you. Cid and Alphinaud fight back the Ixal while you take on Garuda. While at first she finds your bravery quite entertaining, it is not long before she realizes your strength. However, in this realm, where her people pray for her strength and feed her limitless amounts of crystals, she cannot be undone. She powers up, attempting to temper you. However, you counter her attack with one of your own, greatly injuring her and claiming the sixth and final elemental crystal to be yours. Confused by the great power that you yield, she questions your strength repeatedly while just barely grasping onto her physical existence. As Garuda and her people question her defeat, Gaius Van Belsar makes an appearance and taunts the party, Garuda and her beastmen. The Ixal attack him only to be decimated by the Magitech cannons he keeps attached on his arm. Garuda, not willing to allow herself to be threatened anymore, proceeds with torturing the Kobolds and the Mrhappy to the point where they beg their primals to save them. She manipulates them into summoning Ifrit and Titan so that she may absorb their aether and gain even more power. However, this moment is exactly what Gaius had been hoping for, revealing the Empire's most powerful machine, Ultima Weapon. This weapon was designed by the Allag eras ago to combat any primals summoned into the world. With this weapon, Gaius is quickly able to absorb all of the primal's energy into Ultima Weapon. With each primal it consumes, it grows even stronger. Gaius lends Cid, Alphinaud, and the adventurer one last warning, that Eorzea shall surrender or be crushed under the Empire. After extending this invitation, Ultima Weapon picks him up and flies away. Taking slight comfort in Garuda's defeat, the Scions must now come up with a method for dealing with Ultima Weapon, and thus retreat to Vesper Bay. First of all, they must be reborn. The Scions gather at Vesper Bay and reveal that Castrum Sentry of Mordona is where your remaining allies are being held after the Waking Sands was invaded. After obtaining this information, as well as seeing a vision from Hydaelyn, a massive crystal of light and a deity that oversees Eorzea, you begin working on a way to breach the fortress. All the while, Gaius prepares Ultima Weapon for the final invasion, and assigns Ratatan to oversee Cape Westwind during all of this. With the final battle approaching, this is where I'm going to end part 1 of this lore video. We're going to do part 2, and part 2 is basically going to cover all of the story between level 46 and 50. This is pretty much where the bulk of the story and where most of the craziness really begins, especially what we're going to start with next time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more Final Fantasy XIV information, videos, and lore, and all kinds of stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, where you can ask me questions and get regular updates about what videos I'm doing. And of course, follow me on Twitch, where I'm streaming every day until 2.1 counts down. So part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow. Hopefully you guys enjoy them both. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.